Hello everyone, welcome to another ODNT Spotlight. I'm Steve DeWinter, your host, and I have with us an author who was here last time on the show as part of an anthology, and now she's here promoting her new book that has had a new publisher, a new re-release with a brand new cover. Her name is Danielle DeVor, and she is here to promote Sorrow's Point, which is book one of the Marker Chronicles. And I went and I read the first chapter on this, and boy, she just gets right into it right away real fast. So let's go ahead and let's switch on over. Hello, Danielle. Welcome to ODNT, where we get to shine the spotlight on you.
Hi, Steve.
So tell us a little bit about Sorrow's Point.
I got the idea for wanting to write my own exorcism story because, you see The Exorcist and everything, and it's all, very, very much, these very religious priests going to do this horrific thing with this monster and things. And I got to thinking, well, what about the priests I know that drink scotch and all this stuff? And so I thought, well, there's lots of
real ones
priests that have been defrocked for reasons that are kind of ridiculous. That they never really did anything bad, but they got defrocked for various reasons. So I was like, that would be an interesting thing if a defrocked priest ended up having to do an exorcism.
So they're banished.
Got me started.
Wow, excellent. So he defrocked, so he's banned from being a priest.
Yes.
Now, but he still has these skills.
Yes.
Where he can do exorcism, and for reasons, whatever.
Priest, because in the research I did, the priest part actually doesn't have a whole lot to do with it, in that that's just the Catholic rite. Every single religion in the world has their own exorcism rite. So you don't necessarily have to be a Catholic priest to perform an exorcism. So that got me thinking, well, in the early church, every single person could perform an exorcism. So it was like, well, then why wouldn't a defrocked priest be able to perform an exorcism?
This is true. Excellent. So I went and I read the first chapter in that, and I mean, what a great name for a town, Sorrow's Point.
It just popped into my head one day. I was literally driving on the way to the library, and I was trying to come up with a name for this town, because I already had the idea of this horrific mansion named Blackmore and stuff, and I needed the name for the book, and I wanted the name of the book to be the town, and it just literally popped in my head, Sorrow's Point, and I'm like, wow, that'll work.
That totally works, and I just totally envision an exorcism type story taking place in a town called Sorrow's Point.
Yes.
Excellent. So this is an exorcism / horror novel. I was going to say film. I could totally see this as a film.
I would love it if it ever became a film.
It's got the title already. It's got a great concept, a great story.
It'd be awesome if Robert Downey Jr. could play Jimmy Holiday.
Oh, nice. That would be good. Yeah, the defrocked priest.
Yeah,
be perfect
he'd be
for
great
him.
at that.
He would make such a good job with that.
Oh, he would. It'd be awesome, especially, his facial expressions and the way he just dives into his character with such energy and everything. He would make a great Jimmy Holiday.
Oh, I could totally see that. That's excellent. So, what drew you into doing the horror genre? Because, I looked at a lot of the other books you've written, and you've pretty much settled yourself in the horror niche, it looks like.
I think I just stumbled into it when I was very, very young. I was the kid that rooted for the monsters in every scary movie. I ended up into vampires because my favorite first animal was a bat. I think I was born that way.
Yeah, I was all growing up. Every Saturday was Creature Feature, Chiller Diller, on Channel 2 for our local one.
We had Chilly Billy Cardilli and Out of Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah. So we got all the horror stuff from like the 50s and 60s that now was ready for television.
The stuff they were able to pull off back then was amazing.
I know. It was a different world.
It totally was. It was awesome.
Yeah, we had Saturday morning cartoons, which now we got 24-hour cartoons. Cartoons are no longer special.
I know. It's so sad.
But I watched Saturday morning cartoons, and then right after that was Chiller Diller, Creature Feature, which was 2 back-to-back horror films, which was great.
And we also, in the afternoon, we had Kung Fu Theater, and then the Chilly Billy was on 11 o'clock at night. So we always did the Saturday morning cartoons and watched Kung Fu Theater, and then evening we'd turn on Chili Billy.
You stay up late at night to watch the scary stuff.
Had to.
I guess they weren't considering us to be ready for the scary stuff. They had it at 2 in the afternoon, so we had plenty of time to be ready for bed without nightmares. So now you've got Sarah's Point just came out December 15th, so it's been out for about a month now.
Yes.
Re-released with your new publisher, Owl City Press.
City Owl Press.
City Owl Press. Ooh,
they're a new one on the scene. They do a lot of speculative fiction and romance. And they actually were just mentioned in this month's Library Journal, which was kind of cool.
Excellent. So up-and-coming new publisher.
Yes.
And it's good that you got signed on with them. And it's good to be one of their early authors, I take it.
Yes, and both Tina Moss and Yelena Casale are just amazing to work with, and they do so much promotion for the author, instead of the author having to do all their own promotion and everything. It's just a really great company to be involved with.
Excellent, excellent. And I see when I looked at your website that you've got... So this is the first book in your The Marker Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got Sorrow's Edge and Sorrow's Turn as titles, potential titles for the next books.
It's planned on an arc of 5. I haven't decided on the title for the 4th one yet.
So there's a 4th one coming.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Otherwise, it won't be Chronicles if there aren't enough books.
Exactly. There has to be enough for Chronicles.
So tell us about your character for Jimmy.
Jimmy Holiday is kind of an amalgamation of personalities of me, my father, and several friends I've had over the years. My family is Eastern European. Everybody has to be louder than everyone else to be heard. So you kind of get the idea with that. And my father just has this way with coming up with these random phrases when something makes him mad, and I just pause and crack up. And so anytime in the books you read something absolutely hilarious that Jimmy Holiday has said, chances are my father has said that one time or another.
And so in the story, I saw that he was descended from somebody that's famous.
Yes. Doc Holliday.
Doc Holliday. So what was your inspiration for making him descended from Doc Holliday?
Well, my dad is a huge cowboy fanatic. I mean, that's the only channel he'll turn on in the morning when he gets up, and he watches encore westerns from morning till night.
That's my father.
Yes. And so I am not a big Western person, but one of the few movies that he and I agree on is Tombstone with Val Kilmer and Kurt Russell.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Exactly. So I've always loved Val Kilmer playing Doc Holliday. So when it popped in my head that Jimmy's name was going to be Jimmy Holiday, I'm like, well, why not just make him descended from Doc Holliday? And then that opened up the whole realm of things in Sorrow's Edge for it to be based in Tombstone, Arizona.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it pulls in some of the Old West a little bit and little things here and there in that one, as well as, demons.
So you go from Virginia town along the Blue Ridge Mountains, I guess?
Yeah.
In the first book, to the middle of the desert in Arizona for the next one.
Yep. And then the third book will be back in West Virginia in a town that's loosely based on a real Maryland town, but I put this town in West Virginia, and it's called Kitzmiller. So that'll be the third one. The fourth one, I haven't decided where it's going to be at.
Paris.
Oh, God. Well, in the third one, he actually does go to Italy, and it goes to the official Vatican School for Exorcism, so that gets kind of entertaining.
Oh, wow. He hit somebody he needed to get some better training on?
Yeah. But that doesn't work out too well, because it is Jimmy Holiday.
He was defrocked for a reason. Crazy or not, there was a reason he couldn't follow the rules, which makes him the best character for
bored.
you.
He's like an ADD priest. He cannot just sit there and listen to people for hours on end, especially in a language he doesn't know. And so eventually he starts making hand puppets, and it's a disaster. Especially when he makes a hand puppet out of the Bible. They kind of frown on that.
Oh, I can see it now. That's great. Now, there he is. He's like, you're out. You're out.
Yep, totally.
Excellent, excellent. So, I see here also in 2014, you were named one of the women to definitely read in 2014 in their list back in 2014. One of the women in horror.
Yeah, I was so shocked because that was with the first release of SARS Point, and the first publisher didn't do a whole lot of promotion. I had to do everything myself. And so, I was just putting things out on Facebook, Twitter, Goodreads, and, tried to get other author friends to, help me, like, retweet and that type of thing. And I was basically saying, hey, it's, to anybody I'd meet, you want to read my book so I could get reviews on Amazon? And so when it was like, evidently someone who actually, worked for the Examiner, must have gotten a hold of my book or something, because I had no, like, direct contact with them at all, and it was a really pleasant surprise.
You did not know you were going to end up on that list?
Not at all.
And that must have made you feel just like, ah!
Yeah, I was totally freaking out, because, a lot of the people on that list I've read for years, and I'm like, wait, where did this happen?
I'm standing shoulder to shoulder with them?
Yeah, exactly. Because it was like, now wait a minute, I read that person when I was like 13, and they've been like a bastion and like vampires and stuff, and where did this happen?
Now, horror as a genre, it seems to come and go.
Yes, very much so.
And do you see it as coming back as an actual horror? Because Wes Craven has left us.
Yes,
sadly,
very, very sad. I hated to see him go.
And I mean, he was the guy.
Gunnar Hansen, and all these icons that we all grew up with are slowly dying off. Angus Scrimm died the other day, so it's kind of like I have hopes for the new batch. Juan and a couple of the others who are really, trying to push forward with movies like The Conjuring and things like that. I'm hoping that
the Insidious series.
So I'm hoping they really keep...
I haven't watched... I like horror films, but man, the trailers on Insidious make me go, nope!
Well, I actually have a problem with the first Insidious film.
No.
Well, there's actually two problems. So, if you plan on watching it, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but if you want to hear what the problems are, I'll tell you.
Yeah, tell me the problems, and you can spoil it for me. Spoiler alert, everybody.
Okay.
Insidious has been out for a very long time. If this is a spoiler alert, you weren't going to watch it anyway.
Now.
It's too late. You should have watched it by now if you were interested.
Exactly. So, the lady that they bring in to help with the ghostly phenomena comes in with her psychic researchers, which, of course... At this point, parapsychology in every horror film, they come in with all the EMF detectors and video equipment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
It's all Ghostbusters.
Exactly. So, in Insidious, in order to talk to the other side, she pulls out this gas mask that's hooked up to this weird ventilation system thing. And I'm like, what?
What?
And that's how she talks to the other side. And there's no explanation for it, no reason why she does this. She randomly has to talk into a gas mask. And I'm like, this is like, plot hole times 1,000,000.
They must have cut those 5 pages of exposition from the script when they were making the movie going, nobody wants to hear that.
It made no sense at all. So that was problem number 1. Which is a pretty big one.
It breaks from convention, but doesn't explain itself.
Exactly.
I mean, I'll accept anything, but tell me why.
Exactly. And, the fact that, she was supposed to be this big parapsychology person, and then they didn't explain that weird feature, it was just very strange. The second problem I had was actually with the design of the big demon in Insidious. Unfortunately, the makeup design reminded me of Darth Maul. So the entire time he's running around, like, carrying this little boy with him and stuff, I keep expecting him to throw out, like, the double-ended lightsaber.
Here comes a lightsaber.
Just completely destroyed the whole thing for me. I was like, this is ridiculous.
All our demons have become Darth Maul now.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, what the hell? So that was my issue with Insidious.
All right.
They are keeping horror alive, so...
Yeah, you're the professional. You know horror inside and out.
I don't know if I'm the professional per se, but I know a lot about that.
Excellent. So we were talking earlier before we started recording the show. You are right now, your head is spinning over some Irish name thing.
Yeah, it's pronounced Cuerva. And I'm like...
Like the beer.
Yeah.
In Mexico.
But not exactly. And the spelling is like Ciomhe.
And that's
it's just
pronounced
like,
Cuerva?
Yeah. And I'm like, now I'm going to have to go and see what the sounds are with the Roman alphabet to what Irish sounds are, so I can really try and pick up all this stuff. Because I know that, like, Saoirse Ronan, her name is spelled completely different than the first name, but at least most of her name is similar to what you would see. Cuerva, however, not so much.
Well, that's a lot of those old Irish.
Mm-hmm.
The spelling is not how we think of it today.
No, not at all. And so now I'm fascinated because, I took Russian in college, and so I learned the whole Cyrillic alphabet and those sounds. And so now I'm like, okay, is there some sort of connection? Because sometimes in the Irish names, the B stands for a V sound, which in Russia, RB is their V sound. So I'm like,
Yeah, so close,
probably
close.
Go off left field somewhere.
So is this, you're researching this Irish spelling name? Is this for any future story? Or so in book 4 he's going to Ireland?
Inspiration from everything. And that's the honest truth. I'll be sitting there and, flipping channels on TV, and some cooking show could have something about some dish, and I'm like, that's kind of interesting. And then it'll be like, okay, wow, my character really likes this. And then it goes off. And then, other times it can be as simple as sitting in the bathroom in the morning, getting a bath, and then I get to thinking about the fact that rain kind of smells like somebody peeing in an alley. And, it just kind of goes from there.
And that answered the question. A lot of people ask authors, where do you get your ideas? It's more of a matter of, I have so many coming, how do I decide which ones to use?
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of it's almost like osmosis, because you get exposed to so many things that eventually your brain in particular starts putting the pieces together in a certain format that somebody else's brain doesn't put together in the exact same format.
Right, exactly. And that's why ideas are not copyrightable.
Exactly.
Because they're all the same, but it's the execution.
Bingo.
I guarantee your exorcism novel is nothing like The Exorcist.
No, I mean, you're still going to have the main big exorcism scene, and everybody keeps saying, well, The Exorcist did that already. And I'm like, yeah, but every single exorcism story, you have to eventually have the exorcism. That's the whole point of the story, is the exorcism. So I tried to mix mine up a little bit and have some different things happen instead of, like, what exactly happened in The Exorcist. But he still does read from the Roman ritual at one point, which fails.
He has to draw from his personal experiences.
Exactly. And
the old way is not working anymore. Excellent, excellent. So we've got, as well as Sorrow's Point is the book that you're pushing here, but do you have other series that you're also working on?
Oh, I have lots of things. I have a young adult vampire series that's about a street kid who gets turned into a vampire only to discover that he's the reincarnation of a long-lost vampire king.
Ooh.
And so there's 2 books in that series right now. They're called the Matthias Saga. And I've started writing the 3rd one, haven't quite got into it too. Those ones are actually much harder to write than the Sorrow's Point books.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have to do a lot of extensive history for them because for instance in the sequel, I ended up deciding that Matthias ends up meeting this snow demon that was once a Chinese girl that got turned into a demon by an ancient sorcerer. So I kind of researched ancient Chinese mythology and things like that. And so those books have a lot more involved in them, even though they're shorter than the Sorrows series.
But a lot more research for it.
Yeah.
And I've done a little research into Chinese mythology, and they've got some really cool stuff.
They really do. And, the Indian mythology, too, has a lot of really neat monsters.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they got the monsters and the gods and everything. It's just the Indian stuff is just
so
like
much
incredible.
Stuff influenced by, and it's also helpful that I have some really close friends who are originally from India, and so when I have questions, I can just be like, "Hey, what's this person?" And they'll be like, "Why are you reading about that?"
Research.
Exactly.
So walk me through your process when you have an idea for a story. How do you take that to fruition? Do you outline? Are you there's always the battle of pantser versus plotzer. Do you outline it out in detail? Do you have a quick sketch, or do you just sit down to the blank page and go, I have a character, an idea, and possibly an ending?
I am totally a pantser. I tried doing an outline once, and I followed the outline to a T, and I ended up with a completed book at 15,000 words. This didn't work very well for me. So I never outlined again. What I usually do is when I start thinking about a story, like the latest book I just finished writing is kind of a combination between the films Event Horizon, Alien, and Life Force. So it's space vampires meet New York City street gang.
Nice.
So I kind of sit there and try. Usually, what it is, it's like, okay, what project do I want to work on next? And I usually have like 3 or 4 bouncing around in my head. Right now, I have the story of the West Memphis 3 bouncing around in my head. So I'm like, okay, so I need a main character who has some sort of event happen that gets them falsely accused so they can go through this giant court process. Now, do I want it to have anything supernatural and have monsters involved, or do I actually want it to be a contemporary story against, problems with the legal system? I don't know yet. So that'll bounce around in my head for a while. What usually happens is that finally my head will just basically focus on the one idea that apparently is what lets everything open up in my head, and then it's like, okay, now I can continue. But there's no rhyme or reason to it. There's no specific point. I always have to know what my main character is. I have to know what their name is. And I have to know some of their history, and I have to know the event that starts everything off.
Because it's always about the character.
Yeah.
As much as we have the plot and the story and everything, it really is about the main character.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's their story.
Yes. And I think a lot of beginning authors kind of forget that. They want all their information down, but you have to do everything through the eyes of your main character because this is your main character's story.
Right, and as people, we connect with people.
Exactly.
And so the more fleshed out your character is, the more they become a person, and your readers will identify with them.
Yes.
We don't read the Hogwarts series. We read the Harry Potter series.
Exactly.
Sure, Mission Impossible, but no, it's all about Ethan and Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
That's who we go for the Mission Impossibles. So it's about the character.
Without the main character, you have no story.
Exactly. Cool. Well, I think you've developed a really good main character for Sarah's Point.
Well, thank you.
So I read a little bit ahead. I read that first chapter where you just boom right away, and I'm just like, and then I read on ahead to get a feel for your main character, and it's really well done.
Oh, well, thank you.
So I really like
writing the series.
Yeah, and I really like I'm very much anti-organized. I'm not a rebel or a rile or up or anything, but I'm really always my stories always seem to focus on the loner against the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my stories, and so I really like the fact that he's a defrocked priest.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the loner that says, well, this is how I do things, going against the establishment and succeeding.
Yes, ultimately.
So, yeah.
Well, I was also a child of, the big hair band heavy metal years. That was what all that was about. So I'm sure that influenced me.
Exactly. All right. Well, I have hit all the questions that I had. So before we go ahead and close out the interview, is there anything else you would like to say to readers, potential readers, people watching this to say, we're looking for the next great horror novel author?
Well, just that, I hope that anyone that reads my stuff will hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, because I really enjoy hearing from fans. And, even if you don't like my stuff, the fact that you've read it, keeps the horror genre alive. And those of us who love horror have to support other authors and filmmakers and everything. Otherwise, it will die out.
Yeah,
and we have to keep it going.
Yeah, it's a pretty small niche.
Yes, it is.
But it's a very active niche.
Very much so.
Which is good. And so for those of you who are watching this, if you're watching this embedded on another website, just click the little button down there that says watch on YouTube. And in the description, I have the links for Sarah's Point on Amazon. I've got Danielle's page on Amazon, as well as her mailing list, so that you can be alerted immediately as soon as new books come out. And also to connect with Danielle, I have her website, her Facebook, her Twitter, and her blog. All links down below, handy dandy for you. Click on them, connect with Danielle, become a new horror reader.
Absolutely.
Or if you're already a horror reader, well, the Examiner already said it. She's someone to watch. Someone to read. So, all right. Hey, Danielle, thanks very much for coming on ODNT and letting us shine the spotlight on you.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close out the interview, so don't hang up just yet. We're going to chat for a couple more minutes.
Okay.
But thank you very much for coming.
Oh, sure.
So that was Danielle DeVor and her new novel. If you haven't read it yet, it's new to you, and it's book 1 of the Marker Chronicles, Sorrow's Point, and I really, really like that cover. So she's got a very new publisher for this, and they've done a really good job of the cover, so I'm very pleased with that cover. That's a good one. So once again, I'm Steve DeWinter for ODNT Spotlight. And don't forget to join the ODN team. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. We have many more authors, artists, actors, musicians, all sorts of people interviewing coming in through the pike here for 2016. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.